in the path of a hurricane.
They've been fighting everything with just one foot on the ground, you know?
Tonight, Utahns fear for their loved ones living in Puerto Rico as the situation becomes more dire by the day.
We had a warm and breezy start to the week with some pretty big changes on the way. Where we have some flooding concerns this week, plus the timing of a cool down.
The officer clocked me at 1:10.
Utah drivers are not slowing down.
At that point, how much good does your seatbelt do you?
Speeding well beyond 100 miles an hour, and how big the problem really is.
Questions are all we're left. Why didn't I see it? How could I have helped more? What could I have done?
We'll hear a powerful message from Utah State head football coach Blake Anderson as the Aggies dedicate this game this week to mental health awareness.
Some dogs got a painful surprise while getting a bit too close to some wildlife this weekend.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Hours of non-stop rainfall and catastrophic flash floods continue to ravage the island of Puerto Rico as Hurricane Fiona wreaks havoc for a third day in a row. There is little relief in sight, even as the storm moves away from the U.S. territory. Families are stranded without power. The National Guard has already rescued hundreds.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser spoke with Puerto Ricans living in Utah who fear for their loved ones' safety.
At Puerto Rico Detailing, it's just another day at the shop in Roy. But in the back of Francisco Rivera's mind, his family in Puerto Rico braving through Hurricane Maria.
My mom, he was telling me that the flooding is crazy, it's not stopping.
He stayed on the phone with her through some of the storm's most intense moments.
Actually, she was comforting me. She was telling me it was okay. It was okay, that she was okay and she was safe.
Usually I work off of a template.
For local artist Ali Arocho, she wasn't able to get a hold of her dad for 18 hours.
There's a specific and horrible kind of anxiety that exists for not just me, but for people in the diaspora.
Arocho's originally from Puerto Rico and now working in Salt Lake City. She specializes in Vejigante masks, Puerto Rican Carnival masks influenced by the island's Spanish, African, and indigenous roots.
They exemplify the playful spirit that is inherent of Puerto Ricans, where they will find joy in almost any situation.
Her approach, using smiles and eye bags, mirror how she sees her culture and community.
I like to think of Vejigantes as tired but happy, and I think that's how a lot of Puerto Ricans feel. They've been fighting everything with just one foot on the ground, you know?
Resilient attributes that she and Rivera know will carry their loved ones through this storm.
Actually, we cleaning up. Customers are coming, helping to clean, so we can get the store going. And that's the attitude. That's the attitude of Puerto Ricans. Something happened and we're gonna get back up.
American Red Cross disaster teams are already in Puerto Rico. There are no volunteers from Utah or Nevada yet, but they tell me they're ready to go as soon as they get that call. Ali Arocho also shared local organizations who are already on the island providing relief. You can go to fox13now.com for more information on how to donate and support them. Reporting in Salt Lake, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah Senator Mitt Romney reacted to the damage in Puerto Rico, writing this on Twitter earlier today, quote, "The news and images coming out of Puerto Rico in the aftermath of Hurricane Fiona are heartbreaking. Ann and I are keeping all those suffering in our prayers as they recover from the storm's catastrophic damage."
Boy, it's a tough way to start the week with Fiona bearing down on Puerto Rico. Thankfully, we don't have that going on here.
Yes, that's right. So back in the Caribbean, what we're tracking for you is still a Category 2 hurricane just north of the Dominican Republic, just east of Turks and Caicos in the Bahamas. The storm is moving towards the north-northwest at 10 miles per hour with wind right now 110, expected to strengthen as it continues moving towards the north-northwest, likely
currently peaking as a Category 4 hurricane. So we will continue to see some impacts in the Caribbean over the next few days, and then luckily that will veer off and not impact the southeastern part of the United States. Satellite and radar back here in Utah showing you mostly clear sky, and we're going to have a nice night ahead of us. Temperatures dropping into the 60s after midnight, but overall a very comfortable start temperature-wise tomorrow, but the concern is going to turn towards some flooding as we do have some more heavy rainfall in the forecast for parts of the state. Starting at noon tomorrow in southeastern Utah, taking you through Wednesday night, we do have flood watches already issued. We'll talk more about this threat and if we'll see any rain here across northern Utah.
Allison, thanks so much. A new wildfire has started tonight. It's in Utah County called the South Fork Fire. It's burning in Provo Canyon, south of Vivian Park. The fire's burned about 23 acres and is on U.S. forest land. No structures are threatened at this time, and crews are battling it from the ground and from the air. A Type 1 helicopter is being involved. No word yet on how this fire started.
The family of a Utah boy injured ahead of the Little League World Series has filed a lawsuit. Easton Oliverson of Santa Clara suffered serious head injuries when he fell off a bunk bed last month. Tonight, Penn Live is reporting the family is suing the league and the company that makes those bunk beds. The suit claims Little League Baseball failed to equip the upper bunks with safety rails. It accuses Savoy Contract Furniture of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, of selling, quote, dangerous and defective bunk beds. The lawsuit claims Easton has suffered significant and permanent injuries due to the fall. The Utah State football team will be playing for more than just a win this Saturday when they host UNLV in Logan.
The Aggies are dedicating this game to mental health awareness. Fox 13 Sports Director Jeff Rainier joins us a little early tonight to share a powerful message from the Aggies head coach, whose family suffered a devastating loss. Jeff.
Yeah, Blake Anderson said he grew up at a time when, as a man, you didn't show you were hurting or cry. You just get up, dust yourself off. He never thought about mental health until his wife, Wendy, passed away 3 years ago after losing a tough battle to breast cancer. That was before he became the Utah State's head coach last year, leading the Aggies to an incredible season with 11 wins, a Mountain West Conference championship, and a bowl win. But then in February of this year, his son, Kaysen, took his own life not long after playing video games with his brother and friends and asking them if they would be back online tomorrow to play again.
But somewhere in the middle of the night, when everybody was gone, Kaysen went to a place that was so dark that he didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't want to be here anymore, and he took his own life. Our lives forever changed that morning. A piece of me and a piece of our family is gone and will never come back. Questions are all we're left with. Why didn't I see it? How could I have helped more? What could I have done? I mean, he never let any of us know. There were no red flags. There were no warning signs. He always made sure to tell you that he was okay. Mental health matters. I encourage you, if you or someone you know is hurting, step up, speak out, and do everything you can to help them find the resources they need. Staying silent is too costly.
It's a great message Blake Anderson and the Utah State football team are putting out this week with mental health awareness. And it really doesn't hit you, I guess, until it hits you personally. And then all you can do is help others.
Well, you know, it's a story far too many families have lived themselves, like the Anderson family. And being in that position and being so open about it and talking about it, you know, he can change lives just with that message.
And with so many young kids,
yes,
he coaches, he has an impression on a lot of kids right now. Yeah. So just being able to help them along the way, if they're feeling at all depressed, down, like there's no hope,
seek help. Reach out.
There is help.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was powerful and emotional.
Yeah, good stuff.
Jeff, thanks.
Well, the University of Oregon's interim president has released a scathing open letter after offensive chants at Saturday's BYU game. Some Oregon fans took aim at BYU fans and members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints during Saturday's game. President Patrick Phillips called the chants, quote, egregious behavior and condemned it, saying it disgusted him. The Oregon Pit Crew student section apologized immediately after the game. BYU's athletic department released a statement this afternoon saying, "We appreciate the sincere apology from the University of Oregon regarding the behavior of some fans at Autzen Stadium on Saturday. We recognize that this isolated behavior does not reflect the values of the University of Oregon. We are grateful for those who are willing to come together to build bridges of understanding."
King and Champaign, they look pretty happy right now, but things were much different yesterday. We'll tell you what prompted their emergency room visit.
The fastest car that I've ever pulled over was going 148 miles an hour.
More Utah drivers are traveling 100 miles per hour. We'll show you the data on the speeding hotspots.
And the state of Utah is gearing up to offer you money to kill your lawn.
What you need to know if you want to buy in.
I don't know what happened yesterday. We got up about half a mile there and they just took off.
A scary situation for a dog owner. The woman says when her two dogs came back after taking off in Draper's Deer Ridge off-leash area yesterday morning, they were covered in porcupine quills and in obvious pain.
Oh, how Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee spoke to that dog owner today, also a veterinarian, about what to do if this ever happens to your pet and how to avoid it in the first place. And we do want to warn you, some of the imagery we're about to show you may be unsettling for some viewers.
King and Champaign are in a much better mood on Monday.
It was a scary experience, but we got through it. She's finally walking.
Deepthi and her two dogs were in an off-leash area hiking with a group of friends on Sunday morning when the two dogs took off.
Finally, after 10 minutes and me yelling their name, this guy shows up, with his mouth full of quills.
The pictures, especially for dog owners, are tough to look at. King and Champaign came back to their owner visibly in pain with dozens of porcupine quills lodged in their bodies. Champaign, in too much pain to move, had to be carried back to the car before being taken to the emergency vet, where both dogs were sedated and the quills were removed. Other dog owners in the area were not aware of the porcupine incident until we mentioned it.
He's, my child, essentially, and I care more about him than I do most things in life.
Nathan has spent a lot of time training with his dog.
I'm always consistently talking to him, clicking, saying right here, good boy, like affirmations. It's a conversation the whole time, but that means I'm aware of where he's at and he's aware of where I'm at. Come here, my guy.
He definitely doesn't want his good boy to get into a scuffle with a porcupine.
The quills, they stick and they're hard to pull out, and it probably is not going to be a friendly vet bill.
Veterinarians in the Salt Lake Valley end up seeing between 5 to 10 dogs per summer that have gotten into a situation like King and Champaign did.
So lots of swelling, difficulty eating, maybe increased salivation, but they just look really painful.
To avoid the long-term impacts for your dog, he advises getting them into a vet clinic as quickly as possible.
What we need to do is remove the quill in its entirety. So we have to go in and remove the whole porcupine quill and then the barb, which keeps it in place.
In terms of prevention, the simple solution is keeping your dog on a leash and
make sure your dog has amazing recall, which I can say 95 to 97% of dogs do not.
That's where she had more quills there.
Something that Deepthi says she'll be working on.
Recall is most important. I think yesterday that failed to happen, and I'm going to be training with them more.
Of course, no dog owner likely wants to see their furry friend in this situation, but if it does happen to your dog, after speaking with veterinarians, they want to reiterate, do not pull these quills out while your dog is awake and alert, because you could likely cause more harm than good. In Draper, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
According to Utah law, porcupines are protected animals. Now, if you have a problem with them on your property or in your neighborhood, Utah's Division of Wildlife Resources has a list of professional licensed animal control companies that specialize in removing protected species.
In southern Utah, 6 women and a dog were stranded on a remote section of the Green River after their canoes were swept away by rising water during an overnight storm. A Grand County search and rescue boat responded. They found the missing canoes about 9 miles downstream. The group was found in an area where there is no cell service, but because they had a satellite messaging device, they were able to call for help. The entire operation took 12 hours.
A small earthquake this afternoon rattled residents in southern Utah, Nevada, and northern Arizona. The 4.4 magnitude quake was recorded near Littlefield, Arizona. It was felt as far away as Mesquite, Nevada, and St. George, Utah. The Mojave County Sheriff's Office says it has no reports of any injuries or damage in the area.
Utah's Department of Natural Resources is getting ready to roll out a statewide turf buyback program. The program will officially launch in the spring, but they're signing people up now. But there is a catch. The law specifically says you cannot go ahead and kill your lawn. It has to be living. But the state says it doesn't necessarily have to be lush and green.
Grass is not the enemy. We really want to use the grass in places where it makes sense. We want our kids to play on it and our dogs. What we're really looking at is areas, if you only walk on it once a week, it probably shouldn't be grass.
The state hopes offering money will make getting rid of your lawn to save water a little easier. There's a website which will tell you what you qualify for. Scan the QR code you're looking at right now on your screen. It'll take you to resources to see what kind of money you would get for your lawn and a link to be notified when the statewide turf buyback program, easy for you to say, is available. Find more information at fox13now.com. Allison?
Well, it's a comfortable evening here across the state on this Monday night. Beautiful here in Salt Lake City. Temperatures in the upper 70s, 72 for Ogden and 77 currently in Provo. Now, we do have some rain on the way, mainly into southeastern Utah, and we've got some heat in the forecast for tomorrow. So for Salt Lake, we could tie, if not beat, a record for tomorrow. The old record is 91 degrees, and that's also the forecast for your Tuesday tomorrow. So we're still in record territory. We have flood watches that have been issued starting at noon tomorrow for the southeastern corner of the state. This takes you through Wednesday night at midnight. So here's what you need to know. Today it was warm and windy. Tomorrow, same thing. It'll be hot and it will be breezy again. Through the evening, our temperatures will drop into the 60s after midnight here along the Wasatch Front, and you'll have a comfortable start tomorrow. But for tomorrow, our best chance for thunderstorms will be into eastern and southeastern Utah. This does include all the way along I-15 up through Utah County, up towards about Point of the Mountain, Wasatch back, and into the Uintas and Uinta Basin. So we do have that chance for thunderstorms for much of Utah, but likely widely scattered the further north and further west that you get. Overnight temps here across Utah. Tuesday at 7 a.m., 50s and 60s. You'll wake up tomorrow, it'll feel great. Everyone in the neighborhood that can will be out for a walk tomorrow morning. Of course, I know many of us have jobs first thing in the morning, so you don't get the opportunity. And it's going to be hot in the afternoon hours, so make sure you're being careful with your pets and their paws and your kids and their hands and feet as they're out playing around in the yard. But tomorrow afternoon, we've got that chance for showers and thunderstorms, mainly into southeastern Utah. But again, we'll have some widely scattered storms beyond that. So let's look at this future cast through tomorrow. I'll pause this for you on Tuesday at 10 a.m. just to give you a better idea of where these storms will be developing, mainly into southern and southeastern Utah. We'll take you through Wednesday morning at 2 a.m. So tomorrow night, Tuesday night into Wednesday, we still have thunderstorms going into southeastern Utah. So we're not going to get much of a break into the overnight hours. Then by Thursday and Wednesday, we're going to have still some more chances for showers and thunderstorms. So for St. George, it breaks down like this. Isolated storms for Tuesday night, Wednesday widely scattered, and then isolated Wednesday night and Thursday. For the Ogden area, for the northern Wasatch Front, you're tracking scattered storms Wednesday night and Thursday. And for Utah County in Provo, your chance for storms will also be scattered Wednesday night, widely scattered for Thursday. St. George 92 tomorrow, 86 on Wednesday. You'll have a chance for some widely scattered storms middle of the week. And then this weekend, sunny and back into the 90s as the ridging returns. Here in Salt Lake, we're cooling down. By Thursday and Friday, we're into the 70s. So tomorrow, we'll be in the 90s again, near a record high. And then we will be cooling down next week as well as we clear out. So we'll talk more about our chances for rain here along the Wasatch Front and for Salt Lake City coming up.
Thanks, Allison. Straight ahead, what two lawmakers are trying to do to prevent another insurrection at the U.S. Capitol.
And he was the subject of a popular podcast called Serial. And now this convicted murderer is a free man. We'll explain why. Welcome back, everyone. New data today from the FBI says online scams cost Americans $6.9 billion in 2021 alone. That's nearly double the pre-pandemic 2019 total of $3.5 billion. Utahns lost more than $72 million to such crimes in 2021. Going in depth tonight, Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth spoke to a victim of one of the fastest growing types of scams. Max.
Yeah, Kelly, we're talking about romance scams, otherwise known as catfishing. It's a cruel crime because whether or not they get your money, they take your trust. Yvonne Harlan, a 68-year-old divorcee, gained some hard-won wisdom.
I decided to go on Tinder just to see what was there.
At 68, a divorcee living alone at the height of the pandemic, Yvonne Harlan was looking for companionship. A man calling himself Robert reached out.
And he called me and contacted me, sent me what I understand to be called love bombs. Oh, you're so beautiful. I love you. Let's spend our lives together.
Red flags? Yvonne saw them, but she'd been clear.
I told him from the beginning, I don't have any money.
That did not deter Robert. He called twice a day, texted day and night.
We talked about family. We talked about our goals in life. We talked about what we wanted to do. He told me that his wife had cheated on him with his business partner.
He told Yvonne he was a construction engineer who lived in the U.S. but was working on a contract in Turkey. It was all fishy, but he wasn't asking for anything. Until a month in, contact ended for 3 days, followed by a story and a request.
He told me he was in the hospital and that he'd been injured and that he was unable to work because of this explosion. He said, "Why won't you support me in this? I'm in trouble, and I need to send you money and ask you to buy computers."
It didn't make sense, and Yvonne is a paralegal, so she looked into the law.
I did some research, and I found that if you receive money for someone from out of the country, that's money. They're money laundering, and there are criminal penalties if I were to do that.
How did you build up the courage to be public about this?
I was so angry. I thought, I am a grandmother. This could be happening to anybody's mother.
Now she's cut out social media, including dating sites.
I will never do that again.
Now, the scam Yvonne experienced is common, the scammer likely working in a call center in Nigeria. She did not lose money, but for weeks, she was in a long-distance relationship that turned out to be a lie, and she says that hurt. Yvonne really learned about all of this on a site called socialcatfish.com. Now, they put out a study using that FBI data we talked about, and some of what they found, Utah lost the 23rd most among states, but aside from Nevada, every state that lost more has a lot more people. Per capita, we'd be closer to the top of the list. The average scam victim in Utah lost $15,354. And as for romance scams like what Yvonne experienced, 75% of victims have college educations.
All right, Max, thanks so much.
In national news tonight, 2 House lawmakers are laying out their proposal for legislation to prevent another Capitol attack.
Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming and Democratic Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren of California wrote a preview in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. The proposed legislation aims to make it harder to overturn a certified presidential election in the future by proposing changes to the Electoral Count Act. Among its provisions, the legislation would make it more difficult for lawmakers to raise objections to official electors submitted from the states. The House is preparing to vote on the bill this week.
A new report claims TikTok is delivering misinformation to its young users. According to a report by NewsGuard, nearly 20% of the videos that appear when you search TikTok contain some form of misinformation. A TikTok spokesperson says its community guidelines make clear that it does not allow harmful misinformation, including medical misinformation.
A Baltimore man sentenced to life in prison for a 1999 murder who became the subject of the first season of the popular podcast Serial is now a free man. Adnan Syed walked out of court today after a judge vacated his conviction. He was a teen when he was found guilty of murdering his ex-girlfriend. But Syed's attorney presented reliable issues to the state in 2021. After taking another look at the case, Baltimore prosecutors filed a motion to vacate the conviction.
Want to push your accelerator to 100 miles per hour? We'll tell you why so many Utah drivers are going faster than ever and the penalties if they're caught.
So this guy's 92. I'm good. I'm Trip Barter Highway Patrol. I just stopped you for speeding today.
Mortgage rates rise to a level not seen since the housing crisis of 2008. What that means for Utah buyers and sellers.
A Utah man tries to stop a thief from stealing his truck right out of his own driveway. And the consequences for that man could have been deadly.
Coming up, we'll hear from the Utes and Cougars. Utah hoping to start Pac-12 on a high note, and the Cougars looking to bounce back after a tough loss.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, viewer video shows the aftermath of a crash on SR 12 in Escalante in Garfield County. UDOT says the crash happened at about 4:30 this afternoon before it turned dark. Fox 13 News has asked the Utah Highway Patrol for more information. We are waiting for a call back from them.
The officer clocked me like at 1:10.
Our vehicles are not made to withstand damage from crashes at those extreme speeds.
So we're basically designing our highways and many of our roads, even within cities, to be like racetracks.
Since 2019, Utah troopers have stopped more than 21,000 motorists traveling 100 miles per hour or more. That's enough people to fill Real Salt Lake Stadium or the LDS General Conference Center.
And the number of super speeders this year is on pace to exceed 2021's total. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle obtained data on where UHP is finding the triple-digit drivers. He asked who they are and what happens to them.
This is a map showing where UHP has been citing 100-mile-per-hour speeders. The heaviest concentration is on Interstate 15 in rural Utah. This red area is near Scipio, this one near Beaver. But look at this. Troopers are finding these 100-mile-per-hour speeders on rural two-lane roads from Bear Lake all the way down to Kanab. Why so fast? Listen to this.
It's on my way home. It's around 1, 2 in the morning. There was no cars on the freeway. I had recently bought the car, so I was kind of like, oh, maybe I should see how fast this thing can go.
JJ Avila got pulled over in Linden.
The officer clocked me like at 1:10.
Was this your first time going more than 100 miles an hour?
No.
The fastest car that I've ever pulled over was going 148 miles an hour, and it was just right here, actually up on this next exit.
UHP Corporal Jeffrey Parker patrols Salt Lake County.
A black Porsche going that fast, that falls under, reckless and exhibition of speed, and so we impounded his car.
So far this year, 70% of super speeders are men. The median age, 26.
So this guy's 92. I'm good. I'm Trip Barter Highway Patrol. I just stopped you for speeding today. I measured your speed at 92, so going pretty quick. I gotta give you a citation for the speed today, right? A little too quick, and it's a big issue throughout this whole area. They're running late, or they didn't realize they were going so fast. I've got to use the restroom, or I'm heading to the airport, gonna miss my flight, or I didn't realize I was going that fast.
So we're basically designing our highways and many of our roads, even within cities, to be like racetracks, to basically be safe at high speeds. So what do people do? They just push the speeding envelope.
UHP can't be sure how many crashes result from excessive speeding. Not everyone receives a detailed examination.
Our vehicles are not made to withstand damage from crashes that are at those extreme speeds. So when you get into those high speed You have the inability to be able to react in the time frame to be able to prevent crashes many times.
You get on scene of the crash and the car is ripped to pieces, like the engine block and the front half of the car might be separated from the rear of the car. At that point, how much good does your seatbelt do you?
The Utah legislature targeted super speeders this year by increasing the penalties. Driving faster than 100, each MPH over that number can bring extra fines. And once you reach 105, it's a reckless driving charge.
Making penalties bigger, honestly, would be the best way to kind of slow them down.
Avila received his ticket before the new laws took effect. You had your license suspended for a month.
Yeah.
And the fines wound up being a total of $340.
Yeah, but I haven't been pulled over since. I've been pretty good at staying at the speed limit.
The data we've told you about only represents the super speeders found by the Utah Highway Patrol, not local police. Like this episode last month in Mill Creek, where Unified Police arrested a motorcyclist. He was driving faster than 100 miles per hour through a school zone. In the studio, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Oh, watch that speed.
My goodness.
Police in West Valley City right now looking for a thief who stole a man's truck this morning while the victim was warming it up right in his own driveway.
That victim tried to intervene but ended up being dragged onto the street. He is in the hospital tonight being treated for his injuries, but we're told he will be okay. Police say this incident serves as a cautionary tale for people to be extra vigilant with their vehicles as the weather cools down.
We get it. I mean, it's your vehicle. You should be able to do what you want with it. And you shouldn't have to worry about someone coming and taking what belongs to you. But unfortunately, the world that we live in, criminals aren't always worried about what belongs to you. And they're more than willing to come and take something if they have the opportunity to do it.
The truck is a 1999 Ford Ranger, license plate 9C4EP. It also had welding equipment in the back when it was stolen. If you see a truck matching that description, call West Valley City Police.
And the man suspected in a deadly downtown shooting made his initial court appearance today. The shooting happened outside of a SneakerCon event taking place at the Salt Palace Convention Center on September 3rd. 41-year-old Delaford Knight was shot and killed, and 18-year-old Nunu Koog was arrested as the main suspect. The next phase of Koog's case was assigned to Judge Heather Brereton.
Your next court date will be a scheduling conference with Judge Brereton. September 26, 9 o'clock, and that will be set for a detention hearing.
Investigators say the shooting victim had flown to Salt Lake City to conduct a gambling game outside the convention center. According to investigators, Koog and two other men charged in the death had lost money to the man who was shot.
Meantime, security continues to be top of mind ahead of this weekend's FanX convention in Salt Lake. Large crowds are expected at the Salt Palace, and with the deadly shooting outside SneakerCon, there will be an extra emphasis on safety.
We want everyone to have a safe and pleasurable experience at any large event. And so again, we would just reiterate that if anyone sees something, to say something. So if it's an in-progress emergency, call 911.
Salt Lake Police work closely with event security to ensure a safe experience. Sergeant Wyan tells FanX goers that if something doesn't feel or seem right, to just walk away and report any suspicious activity. Mortgage rates climbed to more than 6% last week for the first time since 2008, when the housing market crashed.
Experts with the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute say potential home buyers have seen prices that are decreasing. However, they add that is because mortgage rates are so high right now. Median mortgage payments a year ago were around $1,500 to $1,700 a month. They have now ballooned to about $2,900 a month now. Fox 13 News spoke with a man who bought a new home last month in Davis County before the latest mortgage rate hike.
I think if I would have waited another month and that would have been at 6%, it probably would have limited my purchasing power, and it probably would have pushed me out of where I wanted to live, the city I wanted to live in.
The Kempsey Gardner Institute says high mortgage rates have priced out about 70 to 73% of the market in Utah.
Election Day is just a couple of months away and the political debates have been set.
The Utah Debate Commission, that's a nonpartisan group that puts on statewide televised debates, has released its schedule. Incumbent Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee has agreed to debate unaffiliated candidate Evan McMullin on October 17th at Utah Valley University. That's in Orem. Now this year, some third-party candidates qualified to be on the stage by polling within the margin of error, including United Utah Party candidate January Walker in the 4th Congressional District.
So did Constitution Party candidate Cassie Easley against incumbent Utah Republican Congressman Chris Stewart and Democrat Nick Mitchell. But in the 3rd and 1st congressional districts, it will be the incumbent Republican congressman appearing against their Democratic challengers. Fox 13 News is a member of the Utah Debate Commission and will either broadcast or stream the debates live.
The UK laying to rest the only queen most of them have ever known. I'm Mallory Rivera in London, and I'll have the details coming up.
And coming up, we do have some rain in the forecast for us here across Utah, where we have some flood watches that have been issued and when we'll see a cool down.
A sad and emotional day in the United Kingdom as the country laid to rest its longest reigning monarch, Queen Elizabeth II.
Fox's Madeline Rivera has a look back at the ceremony from London.
Queen Elizabeth II now at rest after a moving send-off in the UK. A royal funeral filled with tradition, pageantry, and sorrow as the country says goodbye to a queen whose reign defined a generation. On top of the Queen's casket, a handwritten note from her son, King Charles III, reading, "In loving and devoted memory, Charles R." As the Queen's funeral procession left Westminster Abbey, hundreds of thousands lined the route to pay their respects.
It's all very sad. And she's been with us a long time now. I feel really privileged that I saw it. I didn't think I'd feel this emotional, but I actually do feel quite emotional.
The procession ultimately made its way to Windsor Castle, the Queen's preferred estate in her later years, and the resting place of more than a dozen royals. There were some personal touches too, from her beloved corgis and pony, which waited as the coffin approached, to the music, chosen for its significance to the Queen. At a committal service inside St. George's Chapel, the imperial state crown, orb, and scepter were removed, marking the end of her 70-year reign. The Lord Chamberlain, the most senior official in the royal household, broke his wand of office, signifying the end of his service, placing it on the Queen's casket before it was lowered into the royal vault. Queen Elizabeth was buried in a chapel she commissioned herself in 1962 as a burial place for her father, King George VI. In London, Mallory Rivera, Fox 13 News, Utah.
What is the University of Utah doing to fight climate change? We'll explain their brand new goals still ahead.
Well, BYU made a lot of mistakes in their loss to Oregon, but Kalani Sitake will tell us what the good news is about those mistakes. And the Utes started Pac-12 play this week. How do the players feel about their non-conference play? They'll tell us coming up in sports.
Westminster College will soon become Westminster University. The school announced the change today, saying its board approved it last week, and the new name will officially begin next fall. Westminster already provides several graduate degrees and will launch additional doctoral programs soon. The school says the university name will better reflect those offerings.
BYU students have been working on a sustainability project for the Department of Energy's solar decathlon. The university has given land to the students to build a house. The students in the decathlon will be researching, designing, and building homes using sustainable building practices. The decathlon has been going for several decades, but this is BYU's first year participating. The program is unlike any other because everything will be carried out by the students.
The University of Utah is moving up its climate goals. In a statement today, President Taylor Randall announced the school will try to be a net zero greenhouse gas emissions campus by 2040. Their original target was 2050. The school is trying to move to more sustainable practices that are better for the environment.
Hey, our climate getting pretty hot again all of a sudden mid-September, Allison.
Yes, tomorrow we could tie or beat a record high here in Salt Lake City. Plus, we have some more flooding concerns down, especially into southeastern Utah. Starting at noon tomorrow, we have a flood watch that's been issued for southeastern Utah, all the way up towards Green River and all the way over towards, as we head just south of Washington County, or south of I-15 through southwest Utah, I should say. Basically, southeastern and southern Utah, you have some pretty big flood concerns the next few days. Hour by hour forecast as we look at Tuesday morning when you wake up. 50s and 60s here across Utah, and temperatures tomorrow will be hot. 91 for Salt Lake, 88 for Ogden, Provo, 86, mostly sunny sky. Tomorrow across southern Utah, Cedar City 81, 83 for Richfield, St. George 92, so almost as hot as us here in Salt Lake City for our temperatures across southern Utah as well. And then into Moab 80 tomorrow, the chance for some evening showers and thunderstorms. Price 77, and for Vernal 79 degrees tomorrow with partly cloudy sky. Our rainfall forecast over the next 48 hours brings that best chance for heaviest rainfall right where we have that flood watch. So south of I-70 and east of I-15. Areas of blue that you're seeing from Green River down through Blanding over towards Kanab, over towards Escalante and up towards Hanksville. Blue means more than half of an inch of rain, so we've got a good chance for that, maybe even upwards of an inch of rain in portions of southern Utah over the next few days. So for tomorrow, our flash flood potential is probable for Canyonlands, Glen Canyon, Natural Bridges, Grand Gulch, and then it's possible everywhere else, so please stay weather aware. And for St. George, you're close to 90 degrees throughout much of your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, 92. And then speaking of heating up, look at next week. We are back into the mid-90s in St. George by Sunday and Monday. Now let's break down the Wasatch Front Super 7-day forecast. If you've never seen our Super 7-day, what makes it different than our regular 7-day forecast is we can click on each day and go a little more in depth for you. So tomorrow, temperatures close to 90 right around lunchtime into the afternoon hours. So as those kids are walking home from school tomorrow, it's going to be rather warm and toasty. Wednesday, 85 in Salt Lake, and our air quality will be getting better. So tomorrow, moderate. By Wednesday, we are looking at good air quality. Then we head into the rest of your 7-day forecast. And let's talk about those rain chances, because that will exist middle of the week. That starts to go up here in Salt Lake City. So by Wednesday night and Thursday, we're tracking widely scattered storms. Beyond that, we likely stay dry here in Salt Lake City. And then as we look at our 2-week temperature outlook, so last few days of September into October, we're going to have above average temperatures the 27th of September through October 3rd. And so next week, we're back into the mid-80s by Monday.
Well, the 13th ranked Utah football team will start Pac-12 play this Saturday at Arizona State, who will be without their head coach Herm Edwards. He was fired yesterday, just 3 games into the season, after the Sun Devils lost at home to Eastern Michigan to fall to 1-2 this season. The Utes, on the other hand, coming off a dominating win over San Diego State. Cam Rising threw a career-high 4 touchdown passes. The wide receivers had their best game of the season. The Utes had non-conference play at 2-1 with the lone loss in Florida. Fox 13's Andrew Urban asked the players after today's practice what they've learned about themselves so far.
What'd you learn about this team over the non-conference schedule?
We're young, but we're deadly. You know, I think we're very lethal. We get the right guys in the right spots and everyone knows their assignments, we can do a lot of things.
I mean, you saw we faced a lot of adversity in the past couple of years. It's a whole new team, and especially with Florida losing that game, kind of humbling us a little bit, going through all the things that we did for that week. You saw that we can go through as much adversity as any team, and that's what's great about this team, and we can go through things like that and overcome and come to the next week and go 1-0.
BYU dropped 7 spots to 19th in this week's AP Top 25 after 41-20 loss to Oregon. The Cougars made a lot of mistakes in that game. While head coach Kalani Sitake said today he was definitely disappointed, he feels this team can improve when they host Wyoming.
Whenever you're kind of, being questioned a little bit as a team, as a program, you have one choice. So I've asked these guys to be humble and be hungry. Now you got no choice but to be humble and to learn. And now you got no choice but to get hungry and get after this next game. The problem is that we wish we would have done better, and I wish I'd have had the guys better prepared. The good thing is that we can learn from it. They're very fixable. So I'm really excited to get back to it today and find ways to get better as a team. So that's the fixable thing is it's there. We can address them, and so hopefully we get that done starting today.
2 NFL games tonight. First in Buffalo, the Bills looked impressive against the Titans. Josh Allen goes one way, throws back the other to Stephon Diggs for the touchdown. 17-7 Bills. Allen and Diggs would connect on 3 touchdown passes. Former Utah Ute Zach Moss rushed for 17 yards on 3 carries in the Bills' 41-7 win over the Titans. Like the Bills, the Eagles improved to 2-0 as they took on the Vikings. Jalen Hurts looked good at quarterback for the Eagles. 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing TD on this 53-yarder to Quez Watkins. Former Utah Ute, Tiffy Thunderbird Britton Covey returning punts for the Eagles. He had 3 returns for 14 yards in the Eagles' 24-7 win over the Vikings. I just think Britton's going to break one for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it happen. Didn't happen tonight or the first week.
But the season is young.
Yeah, I guess we got 15 more games.
Well, will they give him more chances? 14 yards on 3 carries? Will they say
Well, he was
you had
before
your chance?
both games, he was called up from the practice squad to the 53-man roster just to return punts.
Wow.
So, maybe, we'll see. He's got to break one. Come on.
He'll do it. Sending good vibes his way. Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back.
All right, now, Park Lane Elementary's annual PTA fundraiser got wild today. After raising more than $17,000, Principal Justin Jeffrey, he kissed a crocodile. And he held a 10-foot snake. Other prizes included extra recess, pajama day, and certain donation benchmarks. They did it. Way to go, kids.
Way to go, way to go. Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
Quickcast is next.